Logan.
Go ask your mom, I'm busy.
But the lesson.
Lesson? Oh, right. That's what I was here for today. The lesson. It's recycling. We're gonna go over recycling today. All done, right? Okay, maybe not. So between my hand and the recycling plant, there's a whole lot of different things that can go wrong. Just because I put this in the recycling bin does not mean it's gonna make it to the plant. And we can do better. We can actually make sure this gets recycled. So to do so today, this is gonna be a multi-step process. It might take a couple of days. So we're gonna do our best cooking show impression and get this paper recycled, okay? Now you might be asking, Mr. Logan, why would we spend that much time just to make paper? Well, because it takes 1,000,000 trees just to plant one city's newspapers for a whole year. If we can make a small dent in that, we can reduce our impact. Wow, Mr. Logan, you're so smart. Let's make paper together. Great. So, for this, we are going to need hot water, paper scraps, some bowl, some kind of large bowl that's not gonna melt. We're gonna need filters, like a coffee filter or even cheesecloth. We will need a large spoon, baking trays. You're gonna need at least 2. You can also use something like a plastic tray. Anything will really work. And you'll need a blender. Optionally, you can add glitter and food coloring to this so that we can like change up the paper. We can make it really sparkly and pretty, or we can make it different colored, kind of like construction paper. But for just day 1, we're going to need only these items here. This hot water, a bowl, and some spare paper. So go ahead and go collect those materials and tune back in with us. All right, so I'm done with that newspaper I was reading this morning, so we can go ahead and use that as scrap paper today. But you can also use old notebook paper that you might have already drawn in. You can use that homework that you fed to your dog. You can use that stack of bills that your parents keep putting off. Oh, no, don't do that one. Make sure whatever you are shredding, ask your parents first to make sure it's okay. So I have a bunch of scrap paper here. We're just gonna toss this in our bowl, but we're gonna need more than that. So just make sure, it doesn't have to be perfectly small shredded scraps. Just make sure they're nice and broken up. The more of these little paper fibers that we can get exposed, the more it's going to break down and the stronger our paper is going to be. Okay, so apparently I'm not finding the paper. Okay, so we're just gonna continue cutting this down, and once we have enough paper in here, one more, there we go. Once we got enough paper in there, we're going to take our hot water, and we're gonna add it to this. So just make sure everything is nice and soaked, kind of like paper soup, okay? We use the hot water because it's gonna help get into those paper fibers and really break them down. So now that everything is in here, we have our paper soup. We're gonna leave this overnight so everything can soak. So just leave this someplace where it's not gonna get spilt. If you need a snack, this is high in fiber. Okay, don't eat this. It's not actually good for you. If you do eat this, call 1-800-PAPER-IS-TASTY. We have a hotline, tell you what to do if you did eat this. But really, do not eat this, okay? So leave your paper soup overnight. We'll come back to this tomorrow. All right, we'll be right back. All right, through the magic of video editing, we are at day 2 with our soaked paper mixture, okay? So you can let this set over 24 hours. For instance, I had this set over a couple of days. It's just gonna really help those fibers break down more. But for today, you're going to need your blender, your soaked paper, your some kind of filter, the baking trays, and a large spoon. So go ahead, and if you don't have these materials, pause the video and go collect them now. In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So to do so, we're just going to pour all of our paper soup into our blender. Make sure you get every last bit of paper in there. This is what your parents mean when they say fiber smoothie. Okay, if you wanted to, this is also the time to add food coloring inside or glitter. Just disclaimer, no one over the age of 14 likes glitter, so ask your parents before using it in their wonderful blender. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and blend this up. It might get a little bit loud here. All right, I'm gonna pause this and just show you guys what we do not want, okay? That's what the spoon's for. So it's all really lumpy and clumpy, kind of looks like some nasty oatmeal. We don't want that, we want it a lot smoother, so we're gonna have to keep blending it. So make sure to pulse, chop, mix. Okay, that looks perfect there. Delicious and nutritious fiber smoothie. What we're going to do now is we're going to filter this out. So I have my filter paper here and my spoon. I'm just going to pick up a big goop of this stuff and drop it into my filter and squeeze the water out. If you are using a coffee filter, don't squeeze too hard or else you're gonna rip it. So just make sure you get as much water out as you can. Okay, so unfurl the coffee paper and we have our pulp. Okay, so as you can see, there's not a whole lot of water coming out here. We're just gonna set this aside and leave it on the tray and go ahead and grab more. Yeah, and we're just gonna keep doing this until all of our goop soupy mixture is filtered out and squeezed dry so that we have a nice big collection of our pulp here. All right, so we have all of our pulp mixture out of here. If I really wanted to, I can go through and scrape all that. But our paper has been filtered out, and you can see it's this nice, big, goopy, mostly dry mess. If you want to, you can squeeze even more paper water out. Okay, and then we're just going to place this on our tray and flatten it out as much as possible. And you're gonna flatten this into whatever shape you want it to be. So if you want this as a square, now's the time to shape it into a square. If you want it to be a circle or a giant heart, whatever shape you want it to be, you can also make multiple sizes, so like index card size or whatever. Okay, so we have our rough shape, and now we get into the smushy part with the extra tray. We're going to press down as hard as we can, and then let any of the water come out. If your parents allow it, you can step on your baking trays. My parents aren't here. Okay. All of that water is out as much as I can. Now that we have even flatter, we can kind of shape it into something a little bit better. If you see holes, you can take the goopy stuff from the outside and kind of fill them in and really shape our paper into what we want it to be. And then, once you have your shape, I'm gonna go for just a nice circle here. Try to flatten it down as much as I can. Okay, so once you have your shape here, you're going to let this dry possibly overnight, maybe even longer. It depends, just kind of check on it. It should lift off of the tray and you can feel how hard it's going to be, okay? So go ahead, pause here, come back tomorrow once or whenever this is dry, all right? Thanks, guys. All right, so now you're joining us again on day 3 of our paper experiment. As you can see, mine is finished here. And you might have one side that's really nice and flat, one side that's a little bumpy. My first attempt at this was not that great. All these lumps and these bumps are there because I didn't blend it enough, okay? So you'll want to blend it even more to get it smoother. If you didn't blend it that much, you are gonna get a little bit of lumpy, but just remember, this is fully recycled paper, fully usable. All right, so once again, Thank you guys for being with us today, recycling your own paper. It's gonna be an awesome project for you guys at home. Thanks.